You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. From Star Wars to Star Trek, comics to tech. Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. Pull up a chair 'cause you're an altered geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host Steve Megatron. I am back. And so in this Wednesday edition of the show, although it's not coming out around the time that I originally planned, but I have a better idea for it. This is going to be a basically news-based system, and then I'm going to turn my later in the week show into my kind of topical. So in this particular episode, I have quite a few things broken down. I've recently gotten back in the fold of some superhero news, some tech news, some just some stuff I've rambled across, as it were. So remember last week when I talked about the Batman and Harley Quinn film? Well, it turns out that this particular film is going to star Kevin Conroy as Batman, which I almost figured it would because the animation style that's put to it. It's very like quasi the original animated series of it, and then the new adventures kind of mixed together. And then it's got Nightwing, which. The nice part about that is they have Lauren Lester back to play the role. So it's kind of a nice melding of sorts to get what the fans kind of expect out of it. And the awesome part about it is that you get to see them work together. And I guess they're trying to do this one as more of a comedy because they decided to do, like I said, Harley Quinn. And so in doing that, they wanted to make it more fun. Because there's and of course they've put, because it's an adult-ish film, it's not really a animated series per se. It's like an offshoot of it, or an adventure later on. So Nightwing and Batman are attempting to stop Poison Ivy and this other villain that's plant-based. And the only one that they can track Poison Ivy with is one of her old associates, Harley Quinn. And so they have Melissa Rauch from Big Bang Theory, Bernadette, playing Harley Quinn this time. And she actually doesn't sound that bad. And I've seen the 9-minute behind-the-scenes video, which is kind of interesting to watch. But for the Batman and Nightwing characters, it seems like Conroy never really stepped out of the role, but Lester hasn't been back in it since the New Adventures. So it's actually kind of nice to see him returning to the fold after, almost 20 years. But it's like they never left. They sound exactly the same, and it's this is one of my anticipated films this summer that I didn't know was coming out. So, really hope Warner Brothers sends me this one for review. I really am interested in this. But Rauch doesn't sound bad as Harley Quinn. She actually has the accent down. It's a little bit more high pitched and a little bit different than what we're used to with Sorkin or Strong, but it's likable, surprisingly. So. I'm really looking forward to this animated film. So I know I talked reboot and the whole turning live action thing. I'm not going to touch that anymore. I don't. I'm going to leave that alone. I want to like it, but yeah, I'm going to leave it. So I saw this fun type of thing that apparently the real Ghostbusters is just hitting Netflix streaming, and that's kind of cool because I haven't seen this series in years. I don't even remember the last time I saw it. It must have been like late 90s, maybe early 2000s, if that. I don't know. I'm going to have to check it out, though. So, Deadline Hollywood talked about Prison Break's revival. This Dominic Patton guy, I don't agree with anything he said. He says the show should have stayed on lockdown. He says, with the success of the 24 and X-Files, and he says, I thought Prison Break would be good. Well, it's the first episode, and you've also had to gap, 7 years, where time is very important and the characters are very important in the series. And for what they did in the first episode of the show, I would say that they got the ball rolling so that the next episode they can kind of get right into it, because there's already another conspiracy theory for those that haven't seen it surrounding Michael Scofield, where they're trying to cover up his identity with somebody else for some reason. And Lincoln is approached by Teabag, who comes from prison with a paper with a picture of him. And you get to see Sarah, and you get to see, Michael Jr., and you get to see C-Note. So it's very much already hit the ground running, and you get to see Sucre as well. And they kind of play it differently towards the end, like he's kind of lost all semblance of who he was, and the fact that he's alive is alarming to them. So, I would say it got off to a little bit of a rocky start on the first episode, but I wouldn't say that it didn't deserve to come back. Heroes Reborn was kind of more the one that shouldn't have come back, even though it was really good compared to the past 3 seasons of that show. But Prison Break, I feel like the writing's strong enough to hold it and to fix the gaps that were left in it. So I give it a pass. I don't really care what this guy says. Plus, this guy is the same one that knocked Lethal Weapons television series. And I happen to find that the series, although it's not like the films, is actually really well done and very fun. I find that if he's saying that about that show, and he's not, and he's doing the same kind of crapshoot on Prison Break, I really can't believe him. And I watched it, and I have to disagree with him. That's his opinion, and this is mine. So, getting into a fun little what if scenario, Joe Blow Movie Trailers posted, it was like March 22nd, a what if Logan ending had a post-credit scene featuring Deadpool. And it's fan-made, but it's so well fan-made that I almost couldn't tell unless the fact that it says fan-made. And the fact that there's little bits of nuances in the in the video that kind of tell you that it's not real anyway, like parts of the suit and parts of, this vocal pattern. Although the guy hits it really spot on. They're from banana-dragonprod.com. Banana Dragon Productions on YouTube as well. And they have him, it's the same breaking the fourth wall and the same type of humor that would be in a Deadpool type thing. And then they joke that he's got that green serum and he's going to revive Logan, and he starts to go down towards it and he goes, wait a minute, he says, I can't bring you back like this. And he's like, this isn't how I want us to be together. And then he says, he gets up and leaves the picture of him reviving Wolverine on the ground, and he says, maybe I should revive Francis, it'd be fun to kill him again. And he just kind of walks off, and it was really fun and well done. And so I've heard a lot of things about Mass Effect Andromeda, kind of jumping over to that boat, about the character designs and the face patterns and certain aspects regarding that. And I have to say, people are getting a little, I don't know, almost borderline annoying with like their thing, but at the same time, EA is notorious for putting out products that are not finished. I think they did fairly well with Battlefield 1, but Mass Effect Andromeda, from everything I've seen, while it may be a good story, graphically it's not so hot. Myself personally, I'm not going to be picking this up, at least until I find it on the like maybe $9 bargain bin on EA Access or Origin. But yeah, I won't be getting that. Speaking of games, though, I saw something from Star Trek Online, and I haven't touched on this in like probably 2 years, which is kind of different for me anyway. I quit playing it because the game was so blasted difficult, and there was like it was difficult to get ships and whatnot. And since then, they've upgraded a lot of the ships you could get in the beginning you can't get anymore, and a lot of the ones that you couldn't get, you can get, and then they have different reformatted versions and different colorations, different modifications. But what caused me to notice this is they came out with a Andromeda class, which looks like a enhanced Galaxy class starship with more flattened nacelles and a different deflector dish section, and it's supposed to be along the lines of the Galaxy class, but it's not the Galaxy class. But I liked the images, and so I started exploring back into the game and discovered that they have a lot of stuff in the game now. So I restarted my character, the one I was playing, and it was more so because I was stuck. I'm floating in space in my I don't even know what class starship. I think it's like an Akira class, and you're just blowing up Borg ships, and I'm trying to figure out how to get out of that, and I have no idea what I'm doing there. So it's just literally floating around blowing up Borg ships, and I was bored out of my mind within the first 30 minutes of playing. So I restarted to play as new characters, and in this instance, they didn't have the Borg invading the ship like they did when I first started playing. They have Klingons when you create your characters and take them through. And instead of driving the Akira class ship, you have a Miranda class ship. And so I've restarted, and I'm playing that now, and it's turning out pretty well. I don't know if I'm going to get in the same gridlock or stuck. I don't really know what the point is yet, but I guess I'll figure it out. If I have anything else, I'm going to update this, and once I get going a little bit, once I get out of this slump, figure out if I'm actually going to play it, I might start doing like a Twitch live stream of it. Not really sure yet, but that may be in the cards. So Blizzard is making the original StarCraft free. They're revisiting the original StarCraft and Brood War, and they're remastering it in an Ultra 4K high definition. So they're giving the original game some love and making it free, which I'm actually kind of excited about because I liked the game, but they were selling it for $14.99 prior to this announcement. And they've since pulled it from their online store. I'm not sure when it's saying that they're supposed to do this, but it's supposed to work on modern operating systems like 7, 8.1, and 10. But I'll be very excited to be able to play the original StarCraft again. I never really got into the second one, but the first one I found to be very fun when I used to play it. I know the ins and outs of the game. I didn't care much for Brood War like the original, but still, yeah. So I got notice of this on Twitter. An English dub, a Deke Entertainment story. Somebody sent me a Kickstarter, which has 30 days to go. It's there's only pledged $889 out of the $18,910 goal that it has, and they're hoping to reach their goal by Saturday, May 6th. And it's based out of Melbourne, Australia. They have Jean Chalopin, who basically ran Deke Entertainment. So, like, for instance, the shows like Inspector Gadget, Care Bears, Dennis the Menace, Mysterious Cities of Gold, and a plethora of other things. You know, there's been a Sonic show, there's been, you know, the Ghostbusters, or the real Ghostbusters, and then there's another series, the Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd Century. So, anyways, they're doing a documentary of sorts on this man who's a native of France, where he's basically the Walt Disney of that area at the time. So, and I never knew what Deke stood for. I mean, I'm sure I did when I've done research for one of our podcasts in the past, but it's one of those things you forget when you don't look it up. So, it's called Diffusion and Information Commercial, which, yeah. So, anyways, they're hoping to bring this documentary to life in a year, maybe two, and yeah, I'd be interested in seeing it. I don't know anything else about it, but if I guess things pop up, I'll let you guys know. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi solo movie, could get announced. I'm not sure when Star Wars Celebration actually takes place. Okay, it starts next week. But they're anticipating a Obi-Wan Kenobi movie getting announced. Wow, they're going to have the original Chewbacca, they're going to have Lando, they're going to have Hayden Christensen, Anakin, Luke, the Emperor, and C-3PO there. That's pretty cool. One of these years I'd like to go, but yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Oh, and it looks like they've got Kanan and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar going. Sam Witwer, Darth Maul. Interesting. So yeah, I'm kind of excited for the news that may get announced next week, especially when it's pertaining to the animated stuff or the films or the figures, just stuff in general. I would love to see Kenobi movies, whereas a lot of the other origin films I don't really feel need a place in the Star Wars universe. But I feel like Kenobi, with the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, there's plenty of space for that character to be fleshed out with missions. So I would be very interested in seeing that. Jumping into the Star Trek bucket, they cast Rainn Wilson as Harry Mudd from the original series. I have so many problems with this series. I'm still going to try and watch it. I really am not looking forward to it. So, yeah, they're looking at a late summer, early fall launch now. It keeps getting, it's like in production hell, and I don't understand why. The one thing that drives me bonkers about this series, though, is the fact that it takes place like a couple years before the original series, and they're trying to make it gritty looking. The original series was anything but gritty. If they were going for that, they should have done post Star Trek Generations, pre the Next Generation. Because there's that whole time span between when the Enterprise B is floating out there and the Enterprise C and the Stargazer that they could have filled in with really anything they wanted, because nothing... I mean, there's pieces of that time span, but not enough to really go off of. I still think that would have been the best avenue, but again, people smarter than me have decided that this is the best route. I guess we'll find out if it flops or not. Probably won't, but it's still... I'm not holding my breath. I'm not excited about this. At least Star Wars doesn't let me down, whereas, they're planning a fourth Star Wars trilogy after Episode 9, so I don't know what that's going to pertain to. Oh, man. yeah, I just, there's so much going on with. I don't even like the Star Trek universe right now with what they've done. It's killing me. So the Flash gets an updated costume in the Once and Future Flash. I'm wondering if Savitar is Future Barry. Only because past Barry wears red all the time, and Future Barry wears blue. And that's usually a connotation of what their suits look like when they wear certain types of clothes. I know there's been times where he wears like black and stuff like that, but generally like he's wearing like some kind of a red outfit. Or like Wally wears like something with yellow, or it's just there's something usually defining that they wear that it kind of almost Power Ranger-esque is kind of implanted in our heads. But I love the new Barry suit from the future. It's more defined, more red, the belt, and the bigger lightning bolts on the sleeves. It looks cooler for the 2024 version. But I think that Savitar is going to be Barry. But we'll see. So, yeah. Apparently, Val Kilmer had an idea with Batman, with Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, and George Clooney to... he wanted to have them all 5 Batmen return, or all 4 Batmen return, and Batman return, and be villains. Basically, people in jail in the modern Batman movie, like they're locked in Arkham Asylum, where Batman faces a lot of enemies, and then some of those bad guys in the movie could be the 4 of them. Was Kilmer's idea, and somebody else thought, the writer of this article on Cosmic Book News said. That he said that he actually has another idea that might be cooler. Have all the Batman actors appear together in a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie. Which surprisingly that would actually be really cool to see every Batman revive themselves in it, but Kilmer has blown out like a balloon. I don't think he'd pass a believable unless he had like a bigger version of his Batman. And then Keaton, he would have to play like an old man Batman. But it's funny because Kilmer puts online, it's important to be yourself. If you can't be it yourself, be Batman. And it says, best Batman. And it's got, the Batman smacking Robin. And it says West, Keaton, Clooney, Bale. And it's missing Kilmer and Affleck, but... the Batman smacks him and it says Kilmer, which it was funny. And then Keaton replies to Val Kilmer with the scene from the first 1989 Batman movie where he's got the guy held up that he's got him tied by his ankle, and it says where he says, "I'm Batman." So yeah, Kilmer puts that down, but yeah. Anyways, it was an interesting concept to say the least. And then kind of in the Bat universe, Joss Whedon, Batgirl said to be Barbara Gordon, which I couldn't understand why it would be anybody else when that has been the primary Batgirl. And it's also going to follow the New 52 lineup of the version of Batgirl. And they're basically teasing that it'll probably have J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon in it, because obviously it'll connect with the other films. So it's going to follow more so the Gail Simone Batgirl, which I'm fine with. But what do you guys think on all that? In other superhero news, Spider-Man's suit has its own Jarvis. His emblem in it flies and stuff on the new suit on the movie that they show. Kind of interesting concept. And then they have like a non-tech suit that doesn't have AI that Spider-Man's going to have too. So, and I think almost wrapping up with superhero stuff. Superhero Beatdown had Batman Beyond versus Superman or Spider-Man 2099. I thought it would be kind of cooler if they'd had. I mean, I see where they did it. It's the futuristic versions, the next generation of those characters. But if they would have had the Spider-Man Unlimited, where he's got the mech suit and it's still Peter Parker, but they would have had to have Bruce Wayne fight him then, and then that probably wouldn't have worked. But yeah, they did it. It was all animated, and yeah, it's very fun to watch. And it's got the sprites of the characters from their appearances in one of their latest video games. Like the Batman Beyond one is from the Arkham, and then the Spider-Man one is from the recent game he was in. I won't tell you the ending to it, but it's very fun. And finally, for superhero stuff, Legends of Tomorrow had their season finale yesterday. And spoiler alert for anyone that's looking into this, they have the Legends go back in time and meet with their former selves and some of their future versions of themselves, or the main versions of themselves that we've followed thus far, disappear or killed off little by little. So you're left with the previous their version before everything was screwed up, and they get the Spear of Destiny. Sarah activates it and depowers the thing, and Eobard Thawne has gone and created time, basically time specters of himself, to help him battle the other legends. And it works to an extent until Black Flash Zoom comes in and impales Eobard, and it in turn causes everything to set in that. And they end the series with Rip going off in his own direction again, not on the Wave Rider, and having them heading to Aruba in 2017, and there's a time storm, and they land, and, well, more so crash land, and there's dinosaurs everywhere, and there's twisted buildings, and it just looks weird. So I'm not sure what universe they're pulling from here or what they're doing, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting, to say the least. I'm wondering what they're going to do and how that's going to affect Arrow and the Flash, but I guess we'll see. But they made Eobard pretty BA going out and having Black Flash finally catch his prey. Makes sense, because he's like... I would almost like to see Black Flash go after Savitar, but... Which, that would be another interesting twist, is if by taking out Thawne, it revitalized him into Savitar in a sense. So I'd be interested to see how that plays out. But again, that's pretty much all the news I have this week. I have some topical stuff that I'm probably going to cover, and I'll probably get more into the Star Trek Online when I'm chatting with Birdman on our next meet on the podcast. There's quite a few things I'm working on in the background between Geekcast Radio and Altered Geek. I am planning on starting live streaming the show when I hit episode 200. That should give me enough time to work out all the kinks and get the bugs worked out on the websites and things I'm trying to plan out and get working. I would like to do it sooner, but realistically, there's just no way that it's going to happen for me right now. So I'm just going to say episode 200. And if I'm doing 2 of these a week, it only means like 7 weeks. So I should be doing this by like June or end of May. So I'll probably start on the anniversary of Geekcast Radio. Yeah. So thank you for listening. The next episode will be more topical based. There won't be any news. I'll probably have a plethora of topics, and I do plan on having a couple of interesting pieces in the show for you to listen to. So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.